All right. So, significance. I think significance to me means being important, being influential throughout time. That to me is significance because something that fades away, like a one-hit wonder or whatever, that's not very significant. Something like the Beatles, something like Elvis, that's a significant person, right? Because they've lasted over time. Um, So one idea that I wanted to go over, or the event I should say, was in our book. They talked about trade. The Greeks, how they created colonies, right? They colonized certain places. They started these metropolises, and they created these, vast cities uh, you know, that were creating, jobs and everything like that, and housing and everything, and agriculture and whatnot. So the thing is that they, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I think that by them colonizing, it allowed them to kind of move out of their realms and to create trade, to pick up, certain things from other places, things that they didn't have in that region, that they could now get through trade, trade routes, and all that kind of stuff. I think it created a way to bring cultures together, bring different people together. That way we can all learn from each other, and learn different things from other cultures that we didn't have in our own culture. Um, so I believe it's, like I said, I believe it's significant simply because of the fact that it's created kind of what we have today, right? So we get goods and stuff from China that we don't maybe have here. Just like, let's take, for example, Wagyu beef, right? In Japan, you can get Wagyu beef. You can get American Wagyu, but it's not the same as Japanese Wagyu because in Japan, they have certain, what do you call it? Certain criteria that have to be met in order for it to be considered Wagyu. So, and it has to be a certain type of cow. So I think that that's significant from back then to even now, us having trade and being able to trade commodities, all that kind of stuff, and being able to influence, other cultures. Like here in the United States, there's so many different cultures that we can import products from. Just for example, right? I went to Germany. I never in my life thought that I would find a Mexican place or find Mexican products in Germany of all places. But I actually found a small little store that a guy he imported Mexican goods from Mexico, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. But this goes to show you that trade, happens throughout all over the world, and you know, the influence that Mexicans have here in the United States. I mean, look at it; it's all the way in Germany too. So it's kind of crazy to think about that. Um, and the impact that it had socially and culturally, well, I kind of explained it to you. Um, Not really religiously, but culturally, we're able to get different goods in different places. So it affects the way that people who live there now, like, people who come from Mexico, they come here and they live here. And, now we have the Mexican culture mixed in with American culture. So that's how the cultures are able to mesh when people people drink Coronas. A lot of people, different types of people drink Coronas. Corona is a Mexican beer, right? Same thing with IPAs. They're going all over the place now. So those are influencing, like, even in Mexico, I'm sure there's probably IPAs. Um, so it's that's kind of how trade and colonizing kind of influenced this whole, you know, from the back then to even now. Um, so like I said, the continued impact that it's had on the future, still to this day, um, it's going to be crazy to see how this goes, because you have companies like Amazon who can get you things in 2 days, right? Anything you need in this country in 2 days, you can get it, even overnight, even the next day, even the same day now sometimes. So now you have other companies like Alibaba, right, which is the Amazon basically of China, and if they can get stuff going like Amazon logistically can, in 2 days, it's going to create a significant change in the world, to be able to get commodities from other countries cheaper. To It's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect a lot of stuff. So stuff like that with trade and colonizing different places, um, it affects countries vastly. So I think that's kind of one of the things that I thought that was pretty neat. Had to be with trade and the Greeks.